Welcome back to my gaming channel, and today we have Drug Dealer Simulator 2. Drug Dealer Simulator 2 is the much hyped up sequel to the addictive and immersively trouble Drug Dealer Simulator. Drug Dealer Simulator 1, although incredibly basic and buggy, was extremely fun and capitalized on a niche genre which provided highly replayable gameplay. Although the game's post-release development was highly controversial, with hardly any of the features in the pre-release server making into the final game. Many players felt disappointed and ripped off by this, and for good reason. Drug Dealer Simulator 2 promised to fix the mistakes of the first game and take the series into the new waters, expanding the dealing, production, and cartel management systems. In doing so, the developers increased the breadth of what's possible in the game at the cost of its depth. The game seems to be less of a drug dealer sim and more of the cartel manager sim. About the gameplay. The much loved mixing system featured in the Drug Dealer Simulator 1, which allowed you to physically move and place drugs and filler ingredients into your final product, has been replaced by clicking and typing the user interface boxes. It makes sense why they did it, to accommodate the vast expanded production chains for substances that you can now manufacture from raw ingredients. But it is much less satisfying and tactile. The production and mixing side is less fun and feels shallow. Growing cannabis is the same. Click the box and wait for the icons to appear in your inventory. They really need to at least add a graphical representation of the processes alongside the UI boxes. Combat has been added into the game, albeit a basic form of melee combat with the fists, knives, and blood-showing tools. One thing that stuck at me about this is there is a noticeable lack of feedback and visibility to your swings and hits. Hopefully this will be fixed. Overall, it is a nice addition, but definitely it needs more polish. Guns would also be nice, but the devs have said they don't plan to add it to avoid becoming a generic shooter, but honestly it makes sense to have the gunplay. Just massively increase your law enforcement notoriety if you fire a shot without the silencer. Parkour and movement is awkward and clunky. Running, for some strange reason, is a toggle button rather than a button and hold it down, which makes more sense. The map is obstinately huge, too big in fact. So fixing the issues with moving on the foot is necessary, which I hope they address in the patch soon. Vehicles have also been added, the land-based vehicles like scooters and cars and the fast travel only, which I don't mind. Boats can be driven, but they are extremely buggy and clumsy to pilot. For example, you can't exit the main menu while in a boat, and frequently my directional keys stop working while driving a boat. I've had boats randomly sink into the oceans, sitting docked to the pier. These are very noticeable problems that should have been picked up in the teasing phase. The core gameplay loop is admittedly fun for a while, if you can actually figure out what you should do. From early in the game, you are bombarded with quests that are easily overwhelming and frequently unclear on what to do, especially in such a big empty map, which was marketed as a positive point of the sequel, but honestly I think the majority of players would have preferred a map size, same size, smaller than Drug Dealer Simulator 1 but with more NPC density and before interiors. Getting more drug receipts is ridiculously complex, buggy, and involved. I more often than not to have asked someone on their Discord what to do. The game definitely needs better pacing and progression and clearer mission objects. For some reason you can go to sleep but your crops stop growing and crafting stop, which makes little sense and doesn't benefit pacing or gameplay at all. It feels like this in combination with excessive travel time is designed to maximize players' hours in game. Quality of life features in the game are mixed bag and some are downside. For example, in 1 you could press enter and dialogue in boxes and instead had to click. Now you can, in some situations. Customers frequently disappear in liquid with virtual marijuana smoke, I'm not joking, after you complete a sale, which is a weird and immersion breaking. Is this to prevent the engine being overloaded by NPCs? Maybe. Aesthetics and polish. Speaking of NPCs and the world, the graphics are pretty poor. The current state of the graphics is poorly optimized and the objects and the NPCs have kind of jagged, blurring outline on them, and I'm using the highest settings. I have an RTX 4060, hopefully it's fixed, as there is currently a blank out option for better graphical settings in the menu that hasn't been implemented yet. The settings and story is alright, definitely suited to a drug dealer sim. Characters and dialogue mostly feel stiff and lifeless, with a few noteworthy characters except the narrator, Eddie Marcus. This would be okay, but it's expressed by the jerky animations and jagged outlines on the character meshes. For the price, I'd say it's worth keeping an eye on and maybe buying, especially with a discount, to sink a few dozen hours or more into the float by the game with a good potential. In the current state it's in, I don't recommend buying it if you're on a budget, as it's buggy and is a complete mess. Overall, the game feels like it needed way more work, but was forced to release in the current state. It really says something about the gaming industry that the current state of the game it can be considered releasable, because it's not. Game devs and publishers these days seems to really like liberties with customers' expectations on when the state game can be released in. Having said that, I'll be keeping an eye on the game, as I'm hopeful the devs can make it work and finish it, albeit it will probably take a while. So thank you guys for watching this review, don't forget to subscribe and hit the